Let's learn about a simple and solid opening for white called the London system. It's characterized by this pawn structure and piece placement. Let's take a closer look. You can reach the London with different move orders, but you should start by playing your queen's pawn to the square d4. I will reply with my queen's pawn, 2. On your second move, develop your dark squared bishop to the square f4. This bishop move is the hallmark of the London system. Support your bishop by moving your king's pawn to the square e3 and making room for your light-squared bishop to enter the game. In the London system, your bishop will move to the square d3, and your knights will go to the squares f3 and d2. Develop your knight to the square f3. Notice how easy it is to play. Each piece gets developed to a natural square without too much to think about. Develop your knight to the square d2. There are various moves that I could play here, but your next few moves are going to be straightforward. You'll play your pawn to the square c3, your bishop to the square d3, and then castle. Support your center by moving your pawn to the square c3. I will develop another piece. Move your bishop to the square d3. Notice how all of your pieces are developed, and you're ready to castle. Castle your king. The London is remarkably solid, but there are a few tricks to watch out for. Let's look at some of these traps next. This should look familiar. It's my turn and I'm going to develop my bishop. There are several good moves for you here, but let me show you the one I like best. Move your knight to the square e5, denying the exchange of bishops. The square e5 is a good place for this knight in the London, and here it comes with a little trap. If I move without thinking, there will be a discovery tactic. I've developed my knight to its natural square. Do you see how to win material here? Your knight attacks my queen and rook, so it cannot be ignored. I'm forced to take back with my king and lose the right to castle. How should you continue here? Nice work spotting this discovery tactic. Next, let's look at another tactic that begins by placing your knight on the square e5. Here is a typical London position. What move might you play here? My plan was to play my pawn to the square c5, but if I do that now, you'll get a discovery just like the last example. Let's see what happens if I capture your knight instead. You have two ways to recapture. Do you see which is best? Nice work spotting this one, Anderson. This pawn fork will win material no matter how I respond. What's the follow-up idea? Well played. Once again, we saw a tactic made possible by placing your knight on the square e5 in the London system. This is a powerful idea. In this example, I have played the King's Indian defense as black against your London system. Let me show you a little trick that I have here. Your bishop is in danger from my pawn. First, let's see what happens if you simply retreat your bishop back to the square g3. Here comes the pawn fork. My pawn forks your knight and bishop, ensuring that I will win material. Let me show you one way to avoid this trap. Here we are again, in the starting position of this example. I am attacking your bishop. This time, move your bishop to the square g5, pinning my knight. When I try the pawn fork this time, you can capture my pawn with your knight, winning material and putting pressure on my pinned knight. My knight is pinned to my queen by your bishop, and my rook takes the knight. Then you can safely capture the rook with your bishop, because my knight is still pinned to my queen. Well done. Let me show you a fun trap to play against the King's Indian defense next. But first, let's get some practice. Do you remember the first move for white, if you want to play the London? I will also start by moving my queen's pawn. What is a good second move to play, if you wish to reach the London? I will also develop naturally. Do you remember how to continue here? This is a good move that also leads to the London, but look for a pawn move that frees your other bishop first. Do you remember how to continue here? Nice move. You're playing the London, I see. What piece should you develop next? This is a solid, developing move. It's my turn, and now I'm going to strike your center. What's the best move here? Nice move. How should you continue here? That's an excellent move that supports your center. How should you complete your development? Nice work remembering this setup. Let's look at a trap that I like next. In this example, I will play the King's Indian defense again. An interesting trap that sometimes works against this setup begins by playing your bishop to the square c4. This targets my pawn on the square f7. In this position, I should castle. Let's see what happens if I develop my knight instead. Nice work remembering this setup. Let's look at the trap I was talking about. There is a sacrificial attack starting with bishop takes pawn. Go for it. That's check. When I capture with my king, I will lose the right to castle. Can you guess what the best follow-up is here? Now I have only a few options, but none of them are good. What would you play if I were to retreat my king straight back to the safety of the square f8? Do you see the strongest move here? Ouch! That is a powerful fork that attacks my king and queen. Well, I'm in check, so I must move my king. Do your worst. Well played. Okay, let's see what might happen if I move my king to a different square. Let's take another look at this position. This time, I will move my king to a different square. Any idea what your best move is here? Very clever. Indeed, my queen is trapped and has nowhere to go. Think fast. Your move. Well played. Okay, let me try one more thing. Let's take a final look at this position. This time, I will move my king to a different square to the safety of g8. Any idea what the strongest move is here? Once again, your knight attacks my queen, leaving her with only one safe square. Do you see the follow-up? Bingo! Your knight attacks my queen and rook, and I can only save one of them. What's the final capture here? Nice work finding all of these moves. Let me show you a positional idea next. Let's go back to this position, which is how a typical game in the London might go. I have an idea here for black. My unusual knight move aims to remove your dark squared bishop from the board. There are different responses here that make sense, but let me show you the one that I like best. Retreat your bishop to the square g3. As promised, I'm going to capture your bishop. You have two ways to capture my knight. Play which one you think is best. Yes, capturing towards the center with your pawns is best. It keeps your pawns connected and opens the file for your rook. Next, let's look at a classic attacking motif in the London called the Greek gift. I'm attacking your bishop. Instead of moving it to safety, sacrifice the bishop for my pawn on the square h7. Free bishop, thank you for the gift. Your pieces are perfectly placed to attack my exposed king. Can you spot the best move to continue the attack? Okay, I'll retreat to the safety of my pawn cover. Do you see the best way to press your initiative? That is a strong move. What if I attack your knight? Look lively. Your knight is threatened. Excellent work finding this checkmate. Let's look at my favorite recipe attack in the London next. I'm going to show you one of my favorite ideas in the London, but it's a bit risky. Start by centralizing your knight. Capturing your knight would be a mistake, because you would take back with your pawn and force my knight back to the square g8. By moving your knight, you made room to bring your queen into the game. Move her to the square F3 to start an attack. Notice how all of your pieces are pointed at my king, while my defensive forces are stuck behind my pawn chain. Ready for a crazy idea? Attack my king directly by pushing your pawn forward to the square G4. I'm going to launch a counterattack on the queen side. My queen attacks your pawn on the square B2, castle queenside to defend. I'm going to point my rook at your king. My attack looks menacing, but yours is much faster than mine. How would you press your advantage here? Boom! Your fearsome attack is unstoppable. Remember this idea of castling queenside and pushing your pawns towards my king. Excellent effort completing this lesson on the London system. This opening is a workhorse for white, and I hope it serves you well.